Today is Boxing Day, the 26th of December, and wish you all a happy Christmas. We're still in the festive mood, and no one is on the nursery except my dear volunteer Josh, who's come to video. So we're going to have a nice quiet day doing some bonsais. And today I'm going to do two relatively simple projects. One is this one. This is a dwarf mugo, and the variety, for those who want to know, this one is called mugo golden December. It's called golden December because the needles, if you notice, are tinged with yellow or gold. So this is one of the rare sports that they've discovered called golden December. I picked it up in a nursery or garden center. You don't often get plants like this, mind you, because most nurseries and garden centers these days sell small conifers. And the other one is that great big pine. That one is Pinus uncineata. So we're going to work on that one. So complete contrast, but basically the principles are very similar. So to take you through all the procedures that I go through, everyone has their own way, but the way I usually look at nursery plants is always to take it out of the growing pot. Mind you, I never like cutting pots. I hate it when people cut the tops of the plastic pots and they become unusable. If I take it out, I can still see the roots without having to cut the pot. So I will proceed to find where the actual root starts. So straight away, 2 inches, I've scraped away the soil and I still haven't come across any decent root. So let us see some more. And when plants are grown in containers, you see what happens to the roots. They grow all over the place, all crazy. And this is where you get these very ugly tangled roots, and if you don't watch it, they can even strangle the tree. They sometimes go round and round the pot. So although we have to lift trees out of the ground and grow them in pots, the roots do these funny things, go round and round the flower pot. So I'm trying to save them where I can, in case I need them for the surface roots. So I still haven't come to the proper roots yet. Look at it. It's now about 2.5 inches below. You notice I'm wearing gloves to work because it's much too cold to work with bare hands. I'm trying not to cut the roots where I can help it. And hopefully there will be a flare at the base. So you're beginning to see the flare of the roots. Where it is springing upwards, I would take it off because I can't do much with that. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad like that. So the root ball is pretty compact. So what do we do with this? The tools I'm going to use are my rake, Felco's, maybe a branch cutter, nothing more, nothing else. Maybe a gin pliers and wire cutter. And one of the most useful tools, if you can call it a tool, is my white plastic bag, because this gives me a way of looking at the different options without having to cut. So if we look at this tree again, taking you through my thought process, I will try and use the thinner branches rather than the thick ones, because that gives me a better proportion for a big looking tree with thin branches. So I'm looking for the line of the tree. See, every tree has a line. This is a line, this is a line. So there are two possible lines. Do I want to make it a short tree like this, or do I want to make it a big tree? If I want to make it a short tree, I will then simply do this. So where the bag comes in. So if it's going to be a short bonsai, that is going to be your tree like that. And it's got lovely line, lovely angular line. But because it's been grown so well, so big, I could even make it a tall tree and be patient and wire that into a sinuous shape. So I get a large bonsai with a relatively thinner trunk. I could do that as well. So that is a possibility, using the entire height of the tree. That's only two options. I told you, whenever you try to solve problems, there are always more than a single solution. And the other third solution, because this is long and the branches are still fairly pliable, I could even consider making a cascade with this tree, coming down like this, or a semi-cascade. I'm a great one for not wasting anything, and it seems a shame to cut this large piece off. So why don't we do a cascade or a semi-cascade? Cascades and semi-cascades you don't often come across in nurseries, certainly bonsai nurseries, and even in Japan you will very seldom find people making cascades. I don't know why that is, but it's a lovely style. So let's proceed to make a cascade. So that's a possibility. So in order to facilitate the bending, I'm going to use the branch cutter and split, not branch cutter, branch splitter. And I will split the trunk. See, it's so much easier now. Just by doing that, it's made bending much, much easier. Oh, they do heal, they do heal. And the top I'm also going to do a little twist because that's going to be the head. Waste not, want not. So we're going to save as much material as we can. I like working on material for my videos which are easily obtainable. So I guess in the United States and other countries where pines grow, this sort of thing is available. So there's no excuse for not trying. So that's also become more bendable, you see? Much more bendable just by splitting the trunk. So the trunk splitter, very useful tool, exceedingly useful. And I might even do a cross cut. That means at right angles to the previous cut. On this occasion, because it's winter, I may wrap some raffia around it just to protect it a bit. or even tape. So here is raffia. For those of you who have not seen it, look at that gorgeous golden blonde like hair raffia. So this is what you can use. Some people soak it in water before they use it. You don't have to. I think soaking it makes it more pliable. And the purpose of using it is to prevent the trunk or the branch that you're wiring from splitting or breaking, and also to prevent moisture loss. So you usually use bundles of this like that. Some people tie a little knot. I must take my gloves off. So there's so many ways of using it. And I must say it also looks good. My approach to anything, whether it be bonsai, cooking or whatever, is to adapt and improvise. The more you adapt and improvise, the more you enjoy your hobby. You don't have to do one thing or the other. So that is how you would use it. So before I go too far, so this is how raffia is put on. Now, for those of you who can't get raffia, because not everyone can have access to this, I like to go around my scrap heaps. And this is just packaging that some of our goods came in. And this sort of plastic cling film, it is so strong, so strong. Why can't we use this rather than dump it? This would just be thrown in a dustbin. In fact, I was going to throw it in a dustbin. I thought to myself, if someone doesn't have raffia, this is perfectly good to use as raffia. I don't mind you guys copying me. There's one channel that whenever I do something, I see it in his channel the next week. But so what? It doesn't matter. At least I'm spreading the word around. So can you see the use of this? So strong, and you can use that. So rather than use raffia, let me show you what I could do with it. Let's take the raffia off. This is a teaching video. I'm not showing you how wonderful I am as a bonsai artist and how beautiful I can make a tree. I'm here to give you ideas. It is said that ideas are worth more than the actual article itself. So here we are. We're going to use that piece of raffia. I've never used it before. It just occurred to me that you could use it. Why not? Look at it. It's perfectly okay. Absolutely okay. Look at that. That will do the trick. That will certainly do the trick. I know that over a period of time, it may deteriorate, but I don't think this is going to be on for more than, say, I would say a year or two, and will be taken off. And the plastic certainly won't deteriorate until then. So that is how we're going to use it. It's almost like grafting tape. Almost like grafting tape. I think I will use this, but since I'm here giving you ideas, look at it, that's beautiful. The other thing I came across is this is our packaging tape, which we use for packaging our parcels. Sticky tape. Although this is a 2-inch wide tape, quite wide, if you don't want that wide, you cut it into thinner strips, like what I've done here. You cut it down there, and you can use it like that. And you can use this around there. So there's so many alternatives to using your raffia. So these useful little tips and ideas, I hope you will benefit from it. Okay, I think the splitting has only gone so far. I don't need to go any further because that's as far as the splitting was done. I'll leave that there and I'll cut another little strip for the top of the cascade part. It's the first time I've ever tried it, but I don't see why it shouldn't work. So we're going to use this one because I split this bit. I'm going to cover this as well. So as I said, this is just like using grafting tape. Okay. Don't need to tie it anything because the wire is now going on top of that. Now I have a choice of wires. I can use a very thick piece of, I think this is like 3.5 or 4 mil, or I can use 2 coils of a slightly thinner one. So I may prefer to use 2 coils of this rather than 1 coil of this. So the wire is going to hold that plastic film in place. So we're going to do 2 coils of wire. This is the first one. And I'm going to do a second one. Okay, when I've done the second one, I'll show it to you again. So I've got Josh to help wire. Look at the neat wiring there. Double wire. And that was only, I think, 3 mil wire. 2 coils of 3. So we're going to try and bend it. I usually hold it by the palms of both hands. That gives me a better feel. Now when it comes to the branches there, this is at the elbow, but it's a bit thick. But I think I could possibly still use that one. They're so prolific in the way they bud back. Quite incredible. You see all these small buds, scores of them. This is where sometimes you may find a branch cutter is more useful. Get it clean to the trunk. See, because there's so many branches going from there, you can see how the swelling, and that is the start of the inverse taper, the dreaded inverse taper. So too many branches growing from one point is not always a good thing. Oh, again, this could be a nice side too. Bend it as well. And we're going to get a flower pot to sit it in. I love these Japanese clay training pots because they help me position the thing properly. Still so many options. Okay, let's wire some of these to see what it looks like. So we're going to wire these two together, and then we arrange them in pads, and then we will arrange these in pads. This is going to hide this space. So although it's coming this way, I'm going to bring it this way, and let's see how that works. So these can all be wired. All right, so some more wiring to do. So Josh has done some finer wiring for me, and to show you what we've done so far, that is all we've taken off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and a bit little twigs we've taken off. That's all. So most of the branches are intact. So looking at the tree this side, I'm trying to keep an open mind you. If I look at it this side, the cascade doesn't seem so nice, but if I just remove that long branch, it would make a beautiful informal upright pine. Look at that. That's beautiful. What movement on that tree. But if you look at it this side, this is where the cascade effect is more effective, like so, like a head. Now, because I don't have many cascades or semi-cascades, I'm going to try and make this into a semi-cascade like this. So we're going to do a little more wiring to refine it, and we will see how it goes. So that's going to be the head. Keep the head fairly high. So that's a major decision we've taken. So we can always take the tips out and it will help it to bud back. That one I don't want to waste. I want to. No. More branches than we need. That's hanging down. I don't need that. This is also, I could make this the cascade, in fact. That's a possibility rather than this bit. So we'll unwire that and take it down this way. And then these fine branches. So the rest of it is just going to be fine wiring, and we will show you the final effect. Okay, so there you are, decision taken. Look at it now. So after about an hour's work, I've got Josh to do most of the wiring. So you can have a look at the semi-cascade that we have created. We have not removed many branches. We have removed only a couple of major ones. Most of these are twigs that we've taken off. So these are the only two branches we removed, and we've got this. So I like to keep it full. It's not a complete tree by any means. I like to grow my trees for the long term. When it gets fuller, the trunk gets thicker, it'll be really, really nice. Some of the obvious things I've left to show you what I'm going to take off. This is in the way. I'm going to take that off. That I'm not sure, but I think if I can make another layer, that could work out, but I'll keep it for now. You could say that you could take that off, but I won't rush to take that off. Many of these pads will form, the crown will form more and become more dense like that. But the lines are very nice, so it's got lovely line. So it's like semi-cascade. And let me now look and see. I brought a couple of pots just to see what it would look like. Many people, when they make bonsai, they like to have the finished article as if they're producing an exhibition tree in whatever time it is, you know, in a day or so. But I don't like to approach bonsai in that way. I like to look at it with a longer term perspective. And this is how I do most of my bonsai. So I think even this pot seems a bit on the small side, although technically if you put it in that pot it would look right, but I don't want to stress the tree. It might stress it too much. Let me try another pot. When you're developing a tree, if you grow it in a pot which is much larger, it gives it a chance to grow and it gives it a chance to develop its trunk much quicker. So you might be sacrificing a little bit in time, but the long-term results are better. And because these trees are grown in this organic, for want of a better word, peaty soil, it resembles peat, but I don't think it is peat. I think it's just leaf mold and organic matter. Nowadays, peat is not used in Europe much now, except in the East European countries. I think countries like Lithuania, they have a big peat industry, I believe. But here in the UK, peat is not encouraged. So I think I can get it in this possibly. It's still a bit small, I feel. It looks a bit small. So I will try and find a slightly bigger pot. Bear with me, we'll put the camera off and I'll find a slightly larger pot. So here we have this tree, trying it in this smaller semi-cascade pot. Although it might be on the small side and it might be right, I don't want to stress the tree. I can easily get it into that by cutting some root off. But why stress the tree and be impatient? So I always say to people, bonsai is a long-term game and you've got to learn patience. This is the whole object of bonsai. This is a nice pot, same design, but it is much larger. And it's much larger, but this would probably be okay. I know it's on the large side, but as I said, I'm not doing an exhibition. I'm not doing an exhibition tree. I'm just growing the tree for the future and yet making it look a little bit right. So there you are. We're going to put it in this. By no means the final outcome if you look at it from here, this angle. Maybe bring it more this way. So we're going to pot it like that and let it grow on. So all you critics will say this pot is too large. That was not the point. We want to make it look nice and yet look to the future to develop the tree stronger. So that is what it's going to look like. We'll pot it up and show you the final shot again. So thank you, Josh, for doing the wiring and for helping film. So we will show you one more shot. So the result of 1 or 2 hours work, we've got to the stage where we've got a credible semi-cascade using this mugo pine. Again, if I remind you of the name, it's a Pinus mugo Golden December. It's got golden tips. By no means a finished tree, but the journey will start here, and this cascade is going to get longer this way. And these are the side branches, that's the crown. We started off, if I can remind you, trying to visualize the tree from this side. And this side somehow does not work as a semi-cascade, even if we tinkered with the branches, somehow it doesn't work. Funny how we have a predilection for trees leaning a certain way. When you have a windswept tree or a semi-cascade tree, certainly in my case, I always like them to come this way. I can't imagine it going that way. I don't know why that is. Is it because I'm right-handed or what? But this is the way I like it to go. So it works well this way. And what have we done? We did consider the options of making it an informal upright tree. If you chop the branch here, it can be a nice informal upright tree. So for anyone who doesn't like the semi-cascade, you can always terminate the tree there and make it an informal upright. But I think we want to make it a semi-cascade. So this has got much more to go and come lower down like that. And then we can reduce the crown a little bit to emphasize the cascading part. So there you go. The pot is oversized because we want the tree to grow well. And we will follow the progress of this tree through maybe a couple of years. But like many of the trees on our nursery, people like it and they want to buy it. So because I have to make a living, they do get sold. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'm sure Josh has enjoyed working on this tree. So we will look for another project next time.